key, this is the way I gotta do. My shit is always unlocked and groove. Bass like a face, face in your face in your face. Yo, I can't concentrate, I lose my honey, I lose my money, I ain't got cash. Still I got it. Yeah. And I'm chilling in the club like living my life, but I lose my love, lose my house.
Welcome to Forum. How's everyone doing? All right. Hey, I like that.
They're doing so quick.
Want to make these
We fit in the shit. I'm T-Time and I'm old myself with the fashion.
No, we have two announcements. All for announcements. Those of you who came, we just had a terrific upstairs on the 4th floor. For those who came, did you enjoy yourself? Did you have a good time? Yeah, it was pretty awesome. Some other things coming up. Next Monday is, as you know, Halloween. And what better way to celebrate than have the clinic on musician injuries, right? Which is what we're doing. We are having Mark Brodsky come and talk about different ailments. We have a saxophone player, a string player, some people to come and talk about what they did wrong and what they can do right. That's going on at 10:30. Do we have time for that yet? Where's our? Yeah, 10:30. Be sure to check your Loy Mail or whatever you check to get more information about that. Also, we'll be having Forum on Halloween. I know what you're thinking. Oh, why are we doing this? No, it's awesome. We're having James Chenault, who's the booking. He books bands and he does staff for South by Southwest and all of South by Southwest other events like their conferences and whatnot. Unfortunately, I won't be doing that interview, but you guys are in a lot of luck because we have a guest interviewer. Where is he? He's right here somewhere. Yes. Could you please stand up? Dirty Hertz. Alex Hertz is stepping in to do the interview next week. So it'll be fantastic. Oh, yes, and the announcements that we do now, they're on Blackboard. So if you don't hear one, or if you want to tell other people where to find them, they get posted to Blackboard Tuesday or Wednesday of this week. Oh, and we also have a new website up. So you can submit your announcements and submit guests that way. Would you be kind enough to go to getinformed.net? Again, that's getinformed.net. And we'll show you, we were thinking like what's a good way so you can see all the speakers coming. If you have a speaker suggestion, or if you have some sort of announcement you want to submit, this is a place you can do it when it happens. Still happening. Ah, there it is, right? Pretty sexy, right? Designed by Dirty Hertz. Dirty Hertz, there he is right there. Put it all together. Clap it up for Dirty Hertz. He did a terrific job here. So yeah, you can do all those things. You can about it, you can speakers it, announce it, and blog it, and all sorts of great stuff. Let's hear what's going on this week. I'll start off with our announcements. The band I'm in, Mississippi Rail Company, is playing at Voodoo Friday at 12 o'clock. So if you are going to Voodoo Friday, that's be the day to check it out. On top of that, we have Mr. Paul Patel has an announcement for us. And while he's making that, could people come up to the sides and get ready to say their own announcements?
Hello. How are you? I just want to tell you guys about the two courses that I'm teaching next semester. See if you're interested. The first one is software development, and that's listed as MUIN M420, I think section 002. And what the class is going to deal with is all facets of software development, working together as a team to develop an application, not a web application, but an application, a double-clickable application. We're going to learn, we're going to work with Java, the Java programming language. We're going to learn all about very sexy things like data structures, the efficiency of algorithms, etc. Very cool stuff. So if you're interested in taking the next level beyond advanced multimedia production, which is a strange title for a class that teaches you how to write web software, if you want to take that next level, take this course. The other course that I'm teaching is concert recording, and that class is all about merging acoustics and recording into one course. We focus on recording as the name implies, concerts, or concert music. So we're recording things like the orchestra, the chorus perhaps, soloists, etc. Everything outside of the studio. So if you're interested in that, that's also an MUIN M420 course. I can't remember the section, but you'll find it. Cool, thank you. Do you have a question? That one counts as a tech elective or a contemporary issues. Both of them, both the courses I announced today count as either a contemporary issues course or a tech elective. Cool, thank you.
On next Friday, it's November 4th, we're having a concert. It's going to be in the Res Quad, and we really hope y'all can all come out. It's going to be awesome. We're going to have 3 bands, live bands, performing from 2 to 5. It is Titanium Caterpillars, England in 1819, and Liquid Peace Revolution. So y'all should definitely come out and support, and I think we're going to have tacos is what I hear, so y'all should definitely come out and support. Thanks.
Tacos! Yeah.
Hey, how's it going? I'm Caven Keller. I'm the Chief Technical Officer of NOLA Sound. And currently, NOLA Sound is looking for someone to fill the Chief Operations Officer position. So if you would like to apply for that position, just email nolasound@gmail.com with your name, with your resume, and then we'll get back to you.
How y'all doing? That's good. My name's Josh. I'm a senior here, and I'm graduating this fall. I go by the rapper name of None Like Joshua. And I specialize in pretty much mixing hip-hop and EDM music. Things have been kind of going pretty well so far that I'm going to be co-producing an album in Canada once I graduate. And I'm looking to do one last show here because I told myself I wouldn't because I'm just so goddamn busy. But I figured why not try one last one. And the only thing is, though, it's kind of finding hard bands. It's hard to find bands that specialize in kind of experimental hip-hop, dubstep, electro, whatever. So I'm pretty much making this announcement to see if anybody was interested in possibly doing a show later. You can email me at josh@nonelikejoshua.com or just talk to me after a forum if you are, make electronic music or anything of that nature. I'm definitely interested in doing a show. So let me know, and thank you. And if you haven't heard my music, feel free to check out youtube.com/nonelikejoshua. That's where it usually goes. All right, thanks.
Okay, I'm sorry. My name is Ferris, and I am in a progressive rock band called Torgo. Thank you. First of all, a big you're welcome to everybody who came out to the album release show a couple weeks ago. We hope that you guys enjoyed it as much as we did. But seriously, thanks to everybody who came. We had a really good time. The album is now officially available for sale. It's on Amazon as a download. It's on iTunes as a download. It's also on Torgo as a download where you can pay what you want. It's Torgo, torgo.bandcamp.com. The album is called Salvation for the Dead, so you just search on any of those and you should be able to find it. And to hopefully inspire anybody who's still skeptical, I'd like to read a quote. This is a direct quote from Will Hagen. He says, "Salvation for the Dead is without a doubt the single best album I have ever heard. Anybody who does not agree is not only no friend of mine, but an embarrassment to the human race as a whole. Everybody needs to buy this album within the next month or face severe consequences from me." So thanks, Will Hagen, for your kind words. I didn't say that, he did. But I do agree with him. So we hope that you can find time to listen to the album because it is very special, and we hope you guys enjoy it. So thanks very much. Also, anybody who's not hip to the 21st century, who's still stuck in the 20th century, we have physical copies on a compact disc. See any member of the band. They're quite beautiful. Ryan, show up and stand up and show them all how beautiful. So yes, quite amazing. Very spectacular. Thank you.
Always a hard act to follow, Torgo. I'm Frank. We got 2 shows coming up. This Wednesday, the Cool Kids are playing at Howlin' Wolf. Show's at 10. Tickets are like $12. It's going to be a really good show. They just released a new album. If you haven't heard it, Mountain Dew put it out. So they're kind of on that spectrum of the music industry where they went away from big labels and they're getting help from outside sources. And then Halloween, Quintron is playing at One Eye Jack's, and he's going to go on at like 2 or 3 in the morning. So party, go to Quintron. It's his first show in a couple months in New Orleans. And also Wednesday, if you don't like the cool kids, Carter Lang from Loyola is playing with his band, the Oh My's. So go see Carter, if nothing else. All right, cool. Thanks.
Hi, my name is Mahogany Medlock. I'm here on behalf of Genesis Gospel Choir. Our first worship experience is Friday, October 28th, here in Nunamaker Hall at 7 p.m. So if you like gospel music, come out and hear us. If you don't like gospel music, just come hear what it's about. I'm pretty sure you're going to like it. It's rocking. And also, Naughty Professor, Halloween night at the Maison, 2 o'clock in the morning. If you're still up, I know you all will be. Come party with us, get down, get funky. Okay? Hello.
All right, I got 2 announcements, a little bit less exciting. First one, we're still trying to get music news started. We've got some people, but not enough to actually produce it. So if you're interested in writing, working the camera, editing especially, or if you want to be on camera, we'll put you on camera. There's going to be a meeting next Monday after Forum. It's going to be on the 4th floor of the music building in that little lounge area. So if you want to meet here and go there, or just go there after Forum, please come if you're interested. My second announcement is that there's going to be a show tomorrow night at the Mushroom. Thou is playing with Loma Prida. It's one of the first in-store shows in a really long time. It's free. There should be a keg, so come on out.
Okay, and if you made an announcement, be sure to give it to either Allie. Allie, please raise your hand. Or Sandy, if you didn't, please do that so we can send it out to everybody. Last announcement, this Wednesday, the songwriters are getting together at 9 o'clock in John Rankin's office. If you know where that is, that's CM 234. Bring your guitar, bring some music. We'll have a good time. But that's not why we're here right now. We're here because we have a double forum, not just one guest, but 2. We have an amazing engineer and his amazing wife who has done an equal amount of industry coverage. So we're going to get a lot of what the industry's like. They're both from LA, so it's not quite the New Orleans scene, but it's obviously a place where a lot of us are going to end up. Please join me in welcoming Dana and Carissa Nielson. Thank you.
Thank you.
So just so people know, why don't you guys tell us in your own words your, elevator pitch, what you're doing now in the industry. Start with Carissa here.
Well, we both went to Loyola, first of all.
That's right. That's right.
I actually, believe it or not, sang in the Genesis Gospel Choir. Love it. Yeah. So awesome.
Yeah.
So awesome.
We were here 1996 to 2000. We are currently 33 years old. I'll just put that out there.
You guys look much younger. I mean, I wouldn't have guessed that.
Thanks.
And I was a music therapy major, and we graduated in May of 2000, and we moved out to LA, and got married and then moved out to LA, and we've been there for 11 years. And I'm currently a singer, composer for film, TV, anything for film and TV, and CDs for albums.
Mm-hmm. And I'm an engineer. I was here, jazz studies major, saxophone player, and really got completely addicted in Sandy Hinderley's classes, the recording techniques and electronic music, and still play saxophone, but what I do mostly is I'm an engineer and mixer and sometimes producer, working with bands, and also, thanks to Carissa, a bit of the film and TV world as well.
So I'm going to get back to that TV world in a minute. I want to ask you guys how you decided to go to LA. I mean, a lot of us are going to be making those sort of decisions now, and what impacted your decision?
Well, there's ocean and dolphins and palm trees. There are palm trees here as well, but there was kind of, we both grew up visiting family there, and there's an obvious, like, you know, draw just for the great weather or whatever. But in a realistic sense, Carissa had a music therapy internship there, and that was the catalyst that got us out there. And I had nothing lined up. And, so she really got us out there, and we enjoy it. It's fun, but it's also extremely fun to be here.
Yeah. So what were those early post-college, post-Loyola years like? I mean, were you guys, what sort of tactics did you employ to live in the music industry?
Taco Bell.
Taco Bell, all right.
Yeah, it was, well, I explained in the clinic, Carissa was pretty set, and you did a lot of cool work right away with kids as a music therapist, and I quickly began working at kind of what's now GC Pro at Guitar Center was a one-woman organization at the Hollywood Guitar Center. I started like going out to her clients, big name producers and engineers, and helping them with what at the time was new for them as Pro Tools recording systems and digital consoles and things like that. So that was sort of my, I worked at Guitar Center for a while, and then I left to go on a tour as a tech, and then I worked a similar job at Westlake Audio, which is a studio and sales group, again, going to their like the high-profile clients and helping them out.
Now, you told a pretty funny story in the in our clinic about how persistence landed you where you got. Could you say a few words on how that got you where you needed to be?
Yeah, well, I'm pretty shy in general, but I'm also super passionate about what I do, and that kind of helps with the shyness on occasion. And Carissa's, she says she's shy, but she's really not. So she's also really good at like networking and letting people know what she wants to do. The story, like I'll tell a different story that's similar.
All right.
When I was at Guitar Center, it was just after leaving Loyola in 2000. I went out to the Fox film lot, which is really this incredible, big, beautiful film lot. You know, I'm just like this wide-eyed college kid, and I'm delivering this to me, just like the mech of this huge Pro Tools. This is nerd talk, but just giant, you know, TDM system. And this guy there is in this little awesome bungalow, and I'm helping him set it up. And I told him, "You have such a cool job, you know, like I want to be doing what you're doing." And he was so surprised by that. It surprised me. He was like, "Really? You want to do that?" Like I thought that my aspirations were like tattooed all over my arms and face, you know, like engineer, like I want. And to him, like I was surprised that he was like, "Oh, wow, I didn't know that." So that really kind of convinced me that I need to really, and he told me, I think point blank, he's like, "You should really tell people what it is that you're after, even if this job is not your end game." So, but yeah, John was talking about this, the job that I ended up leaving when I was at Westlake, another similar job to the Guitar Center one. I was working with Colin Hay from Men at Work, a singer-songwriter, and setting up his studio. And we had become friends, and he would call me on occasion to ask what microphone to buy or mixer or something like that, just for some general, like, just advice about stuff, gear-wise, you know. And he said he was going on this tour, and the 6-week tour of the U.S., and we had these in-ears that he just bought and needed a mixer. What mixer should I get, you know, for these? And I told him, and I kind of joked with him, you know, I was like, "You should maybe, you know, check out this Mackie or this Allen & Heath or whatever it was at the time, you know." And I said, "You should hire me to to make the mix for you, and then I'll record it too, and we'll, this sounds fun, And he laughed, and but he called me back a few days later and was like, "Were you serious about that?" And I said, "Yeah, totally. That's good." And it was awesome. And a couple, both of us, I think it's really been sort of about seeing opportunities, and that maybe others don't see, but they're talking to you, and you're like, "Oh my gosh, I want to do that. That sounds so fun." And just kind of, in a very persistent yet pleasant, hopefully, way, make it known, like, I really, really want to do that. And oftentimes it doesn't work, but when it does, it's really, those are some fun times.
And Carissa, you went out to LA and were working with underprivileged kids for a number of years, and then that transition into the film TV world. How did that happen for you?
Well, every month or so, I would get like this knock, like in my soul or my heart that would say, you have to sing full time. You really need to do music full time as either a performer or, my ultimate goal was to be a session singer. A session singer is just a hired sight reader, basically, where you can call me and I can go and sing a session for a commercial, an album, or a film call, and I'll be able to read the music. So it takes a lot of training, which I took a lot of sight reading here at Loyola, and then I continued to work on my sight reading skills in Los Angeles. But the break for me was his Colin Hay tour. Colin Hay is married to a very wild Latin woman. Her name is Cecilia Noel, and she's in a pretty famous salsa band. And she at the time was looking for a personal assistant. And I'm really organized, and
she's very organized.
So she, Dana and Colin were talking, "Oh yeah, Cecilia needs a personal assistant." And Dana's ears perked up and said, "Oh, Carissa could do that." So I didn't know what I was getting myself into. But one day at work, I was a personal assistant for Rick Rubin 3 days a week, and for Cecilia Noel 2 days a week. And,
so you were like the personal assistant in the music industry.
So that's a good tip. Like if you're trying to get in and you have great organizational skills, just get in any way you can. Because what happened with me one day, Cecilia got an emergency phone call. One of her backup singer dancers' son broke his leg, and they were about to go on tour to Mexico in 3 days. So she looked at me and she calls me Carissa. And she said, "Carissa, sing for me." I was sitting on her floor filing her stuff, and I sang, I think, Amazing Grace. And she goes, "It's your job. You're leaving in 3 days on tour." So it's about like being in the right, and I had to learn 35 songs in Spanish. I don't speak Spanish.
And the dance moves.
And the dance moves, and I'm now a dancer. So I think I came home crying, and my dad's a minister, my grandfather's our ministers, like I'm a white girl. So it did not come very natural to me, and kind of an explicit story that night, I think at like 3:30 in the morning, she grabbed me by my private part.
You were rehearsing with her.
Yeah.
She was trying to like prep you for all this, right?
She grabbed me by my vagina and said, "Carissa, dance with your pussy."
And when you go out to the music industry, you remember what was said at Forum.
It worked. I learned how to dance with that. And that was 6 years ago. I'm still in Cecilia Noel and the Wild Clams, and we do tour a little bit, and people think I'm Mexican and that I can dance, and it's great.
Yeah, they talk to you in Spanish after the show. Yeah, that's funny.
So that was my break, and then about a week later, she gets calls for sessions in LA, and I was working with her again. It's being in the right place at the right time. we got a call to sing on the Jane's Addiction album for Perry Farrell Satellite Party, his newer band. And that was my first big session, and I didn't get credited for it, but I, took that ball and ran with it, and I credited myself,
You got a special thank you.
I got a thank you, yeah, like I brought them Subway or something, but. So, yeah, and then I quit all my personal assisting jobs, and one session led to another session, and then your name gets thrown around and it just snowballs. And then...
It's a risk though, doing that, but people knew that you were very serious about it and available. Doing that, although risky, really made you available for more stuff.
Yeah.
And you became really involved in the sightseeing community and the union, the AFTRA and Screen Actors Guild and stuff like that. And
it's a game, and you really have to want to play it. It's really competitive. There's thousands of great altos in town, but why would they call me instead of someone else? Well, because, maybe they like my personality, or that I'm funny, or I'm not afraid to say explicit things in public, or but yeah, you just really have to be a great networker and play the game. And I think to all the females here, it's a great advantage to be a female in the music industry because it is a male-dominated industry. And as a female, I think we get a little more attention. I attend as many events as I can in town to get my name out there. I always have my business card with me. I always have my demo reel with me. Just be as prepared as possible, definitely.
Now, we've had a few of our students say, what about the female representation in Forum? Could you give any other advice, or, what's it like working as a woman in such a male-dominated industry?
I might have a different perspective because I'm married to this guy. So
You're married to one of them.
Yeah, I'm married to one of them, which I think is really great. We both, in marriage you need to have a lot of things in common. We both understand each other's schedules. His schedule is crazy, sometimes 7 days a week, 16, 18-hour days if he's doing an album or something. And then same with me. I'll get a call, and in 5 minutes, I need to be at some, studio in Hollywood or whatever. So, but as a female, be strong and don't. I have a saying like, I say yes to most things unless the guy's creepy.
There it is.
You can tell that. From experience, you can start to tell that on the phone or in emails or whatever. So,
a lot of people look at the music industry and they say it's a friend's business. It's just you'd have to know the right people, but it's a little more complicated than that. It's not just about. It's not just networking. It's a lot of hard work that goes into that. Could you guys say a little bit about your networking experiences?
Well. Carissa's really good at it, I think. Like she says, she's always got her cards. And that's important. She's finally convinced me of that. I like to be a little more off the radar or incognito or something, or I don't know. But she's really right about it. You have to. I definitely. I do have cards now, and I have it together a little better. But we do both always go to events and just being, if your schedule allows, just being present at whether it's like a trade show or live shows or just being involved in your community, whether it's engineers or singers or whatever. I think certainly friendships will happen naturally, and people will tend to enjoy using the same crew, at least for a while, and I think that's okay and that's natural. But I think people are also receptive to new people and new perspectives, and if you're eager and excited about what you're doing, I think that'll show, and people want to kind of catch a bit of that and utilize what we've got to offer.
I think the one person that always kind of sticks out for me is Justin Timberlake. He is a great singer, a great songwriter, a great dancer, a great business person. Dana's worked with him, and you kind of, as much of the package you can have, show it. And just like Dana's first story, you have to really tell people what you want. It's not written anywhere on you. So that's the networking, talking about, I just worked with Jamie Cullum, or like Dana just did the Adele album.
Well worked on it.
If you don't talk about it, no one's going to know. And especially with this type of person sitting next to me, like, he's very humble, and people often think like that I'm his manager because I do all the talking.
And she takes a healthy cut.
There it is, a little bit of music industry.
So, and about the networking, and you really do have to have the talent. You might get that first call because you're a good networker, but if you don't have the talent to follow up, or the organization skills, I know there's a lot of music industry students here. You guys need to be really organized and on top of it, and working for your artists, and really, the more money they make, the more money you guys will make. So it's a team effort. So just show your talent.
Yeah. Now we have Rosabelle up here who's been taking questions from Twitter, and if you have some, please send them our way now. Do we have any so far?
Yeah, we have one.
Do we have a microphone for?
It reads, "What advice do you wish you'd gotten before you left Loyola?"
And just make sure that's clear for the webcast. What advice do you wish you'd gotten before you left Loyola? Good question.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this sounds a bit like a cop-out and a plug, so it's especially shameful. But I really I feel great about having the time I spent here. Like, we just had a lot of killer teachers. And I mean, nobody can really prepare you for exactly what it feels like being, in a sink or swim sort of situation on your own in music or anything like that. I mean, even if you're told a million times, to get a business degree, or or don't do it, or whatever. That's a good question. Nothing really comes to mind immediately for me. How about for you?
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, at least in what I do, it's hard to really prepare you for the intensity or pressure of a real session where there's a lot of money involved and time spent, and people, the clock is on, and things go wrong, and troubleshooting is a very hard thing to teach, for example, or just dealing with a live session. I mean, I think that's something you just have to sort of experience, and I know they for sure work on here as well. But yeah, by and large, I feel really, I think back very fondly about my time here and the stuff that we learned at
Loyola rocks.
But Dana, could you maybe walk us through, and we have a lot of students who are into the audio engineering world. What's maybe the typical path or some of the steps they should be looking for after college? What happens, what happens for someone who lives and breathes in the studio?
Yeah, well, I kind of explained in the clinic the typical way that works There is like a pretty established ladder in that scene. I mean, you'll go to, you'll take engineering courses, some type of production courses, and then you know, to college or like another program or something, and they'll help place you, maybe get an internship in a recording studio, and you'll be like an intern for a couple weeks or a couple months, which will be unpaid, and then you would graduate to a runner, which means you're like, you know, making coffee, cleaning the studio after sessions, picking up food for the bands and staff and stuff like that. And then you do that until one of the assistant engineering positions opens up, which don't happen too often because they're people hang on to them. And then you're an assistant engineer at the studio working for the freelance engineers or producers who come through. And yeah, you could, you know, you be an assistant engineer, maybe you get some sessions on the side, do your own thing after hours if the studio is amenable to that. Some aren't or some aren't. And then maybe somebody, you start booking your own sessions, or somebody you're assisting thinks you're really a great asset to have on their permanent team. Which often happens most likely by like, the engineer can't make it, and maybe the producer's like, well, you know, Joe, you know this session, you run the board or whatever, and then all of a sudden you're in the hot seat, you know.
And something similar happened to you with you're running with Rick Rubin, right?
Well, not really. I knew a lot of people doing that, and I didn't ever really work in a studio. I kind of sidestepped a good bit of that, very luckily and thankfully. It can be a real grind. It can also be an incredible, valuable learning experience. I'll explain kind of what I did real quick and then go back to that. I mean, I needed a job basically, and was buying equipment at Guitar Center for our studio, and just inquired, like, do you guys have somebody who knows a lot about Pro Tools, which I learned a lot about here in Hinderley's classes as a teacher assistant, and they said they did, and they had a specific person. I worked that, and then I did the similar job at Westlake Studios as well. And through that, I met a lot of engineers and producers and mixers and artists, and I just kind of got to know a lot of people, again, networking, just being cool and knowledgeable and helping out, and those people started calling me for technical stuff, like the Collins story, and all of a sudden I was, I kind of, you know, weaseled my way into some Pro Tools positions or assistant engineering positions. And in Rick Rubin's scene there, and that, I mean, that's kind of, I guess, an interesting story. I mean, one of the, like I said in the clinic, one of the clients was of mine that I was teaching the newer Pro Tools stuff. This guy, John Hanlon, a good friend of mine, an incredible engineer who works a lot with Neil Young, was doing a Jayhawks record with Rick Rubin, and he called me while I was on the road with Colin Hay and was telling me about it, and I was like, man, I beg you, got to let me come help you out. You know, I want to come be your Pro Tools guy, or just come let me, you know, make you a sandwich, you know, up in the studio there. And he was like, no, it'd be great. We had a really cool rapport, and he was teaching me his old school tricks in exchange for some of the newer stuff I'd learned on the computer systems, which were kind of bizarre to him at the time. He's gotten really good at it now, but same type of thing. I tried to convince him to let me come help out, and he said, "Oh, it's Rick's house. I can't have you come up. You know, I'd love to, but no." And then a little while later, all of a sudden there was a need. He needed me to come right away, and left this like desperate message on my voicemail, which I wish I still had. And you know, like, I was thrilled, you know, and I went and helped him out. You know, he's like, "I'm sure this is like not what you're used to getting paid, and if you could please come and help me out," you know. And I was just like, "Of course." And so anyway, I kind of didn't have to do all those rungs, which was really great. But there is a great thing to coming up in that studio environment. What I didn't have at that point, I got a little ahead of myself. Just, here I am now working around these large format consoles and tape machines and automation and stuff that, although, Loyola had a cool studio, wasn't like, flying faders on a Neve with a Studer 800 or something like. It's like, and if you come up in a big studio as a runner and an intern and an assistant, you're around that stuff a lot more. And what you may have not been exposed to as a student, all of a sudden you are getting paid poorly to be around, but you're getting all of this cool education that kind of like, I've learned a bit of that stuff now, but that there is value in that system. It's a cool sort of apprenticeship type of setup. Yeah.
Now, you've worked a lot with bands, and you've seen the music side of this industry come up. And Carissa, you've been spending a lot of time in film and TV. How are these worlds different? I mean, for someone choosing, we have a lot of students looking into music supervision, looking to get involved in sync licenses and some publishing deals. Now that you're both sort of mixing these worlds, you can probably both say about what they're like.
Yeah.
They're very separate.
Really?
Yeah.
Similar skills.
Very similar skills, but it's very segregated. They don't usually mix. There's the film and TV people, and then there's the album people. They're really separate.
Yeah, but you have singer friends like yourself who do both, right?
Yeah, singers can, jump across all those lines, but for engineers, it's
not as common.
It's very separate. You're either a film, engineer, film editor, and that type of thing, or you're a recording engineer for albums. It's really, you have to know what you want to be and do and go with it.
But also, all of that stuff is constantly changing too. The whole musical landscape of labels and artists and licensing and advertising and film stuff, it's a lot of stuff mingling together. I mean, people trying to figure out what's what. I mean, album budgets have severely, changed, and
that's a very nice way to put it.
Yeah. So that's totally what Chris is saying. I think it's totally true. But there's a lot of interesting things people are doing, and we don't deal a lot with the business side, like the nuts and bolts of licensing. We might write a track that gets licensed or something like that, but not what we do is mostly music, working on, at least for me, it's just working on the music, whether it's for an album or for film and TV. I don't have a lot of experience with how licensing contracts work and stuff like that.
Right.
Which would be great to know.
Do we have any questions from Twitter?
Yes, we do. So what are your thoughts on the changing music industry right now?
Yeah, kind of that. I mean, it's things are really in flux, It's stuff is definitely changing, and I don't think it's quite been figured out. I know it hasn't been quite figured out, and I'm excited to see what you all have figured out. Because it's totally changing.
As much as 90%, I sing on a lot of commercials, and let's say, just to give you guys some numbers, if maybe the music budget for a commercial 10, 15, 20 years ago was $100,000, it's now 10 grand.
Wow.
So, and that 10 grand covers everything. You know, if the composer makes 3,500 as a buyout, so then there's what, 6,500 left. You know,
Studio costs.
Engineering. Musicology, to make sure you're not ripping off Black Eyed Peas or whoever. Because every single track we do, there's what's called a reference track. So they want
Most tracks.
You know, most tracks have a reference track.
Could you maybe explain what that is for those who aren't familiar with it?
So, let me see what I can.
Well, yeah, in the advertising scene, it's like there's, and actually in lots of stuff, sync stuff for TV shows. This happens a lot, actually, with DVD releases of TV shows. Maybe it's like a super hip show that's out right now, and they're licensing very current tracks. And then, say, a year later or 2 years later, maybe in some of the cases, you know, an older show that's now going to get released for DVD 10 years later. And here's all these, like, great songs of the 90s or, you know, whatever that were popular then, and they want to release it on DVD, and they can't afford or can't acquire the licenses for that music that was in that original airing. And so they might have these tracks and give it to a composer or many composers and say, we need music like this. We can't get this music. And that's what happens a lot. It's either too expensive for what they're trying to release, or maybe somebody just isn't agreeable to, you know, letting it be a part of this DVD release or commercial or film or whatever it is. But there tends to be some type of like reference. It has to fit into this scene the same way it originally did. Maybe they had some like, you know, Beatles song or something, which probably wouldn't happen, but now they can't do it, and they need something that sounds like Help or whatever. So as a composer, you have to come up with something like that has that feel. You know, it's got like energetic harmonies and, you know, a similar tempo and, you know, probably not the same key, but you want to like make something that's like definitely reminiscent, not necessarily in the sense that it's going to make somebody think like, oh, they wanted help and they couldn't have it, but that it has the right energy so that when the editor puts it to picture, it's going to carry the scene in the same way. But what Chris is talking about musicology, you have to be, you know, that's part of the, you know, budget. You have to be careful that what you've created at the end is not, you know, legally is a unique piece of music, you know.
I'd like to open the floor up for questions. If anyone has some, come to those microphones. And before I do that, so let's say a student comes up to you after this clinic, after this form, and says, you know, I really want to be an engineer, or I really want to go and sing professionally. I want to make a living with singing. What's the thing you're going to warn them about? What's the thing you think from your experience, they have to be successful?
Thick skin.
Thick skin, all right.
That's good.
It's a lot of rejection. I demo 200 commercials a year, and I win about 10 of them a year.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you have to, this kind of goes along with it. I mean, you have to totally love it, and you have to be good at it, and really hone your craft. I mean, all that time, like for me, all through the, you know, Guitar Center days and the, you know, the sales-related stuff and everything I've ever done, even when I was a student here, I had my own setup at home. It was like a PC that was like this tall and, you know, was as loud as a jet. And I remember I was beta testing at the time to DigiDesign for the Audio Media 3 card, you know, on a PC. This is like before the 001. This is super like nerd talk, but like before the 001 or whatever, like these LE systems. And like, so I always had some type of way to record, and even when like the world seemed to be rejecting me, or like I couldn't get a break or jobs or whatever, you need to still, like anybody who's creating music, you know, if you're a performer, it's like you do it whether you're being compensated for it or accepted for it or not. And ultimately, at some point, you know, when you have expenses and stuff, you have to draw the line somewhere, figure out some way to still do it. But I would say, like, in preparation, I mean, you just have to really do it whether anyone, you know, wants it or not. You know, I mean, that's kind of like...
There's no sort of asking permission.
No, I mean, and that's why when you get the opportunity to really have a cool job and try to convince somebody to hire you for something, you have all this other stuff. Like, look, maybe I haven't worked on all this incredible things that you know about, but here's my reel, or here's this, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and until you, I mean, through the years I've collected different pieces that I've worked on musically, and until you have that reel of actual works that people would recognize, I made up all my own stuff, you guys.
Yeah.
Like, I just dove in and learned GarageBand, and then GarageBand it couldn't do what I wanted it to do, so then I learned Logic. And I took courses online to learn it, because Dana only uses Pro Tools primarily. I love Logic as a writer. It is so amazing. And we have our own little debates at home about this. So, and then so that I could keep, so that I could not get divorced, I learned Pro Tools. And we've been happily married for 11 years.
Sweet.
Yeah, that's not easy to do in this industry either.
But what I did is in GarageBand and in Logic, I took loops and made them, you know, cut them up, made them so they weren't super loopy sounding, and wrote a melody on top of it. I mean, I always tell people, if you don't have the money for a small studio setup, get a loan. Get a $10,000 loan and get a great
$1,000 loan.
You know, or 1,000, whatever, 5,000,
Yeah.
you know, whatever you really want, and just dive in and do it. I would get these phone calls, Carissa, can you do this? I would say yes, and I'd hang up the phone and like, oh my gosh, I hope I can do this, you know, and he'll be working with Weezer or someone. And, you know, and I'll have to get this commercial submitted by 6 o'clock, and then, but that, I just like jumped in the fire and taught myself all this stuff. And I was the only person he could, you know, pick up the phone for if I had a question about dithering or something.
Well, yeah, she'd call me with like, you know, I'm in Logic and I need to blah, blah, blah. And I'd be like, you are on your own.
Yeah.
I have
So
no
that's
idea.
why I have Pro Tools. But, and then plus, you know, when I was done with a project, I would be like, please help me with the mix, because I'm not a mixer. And so I'm very lucky that I'm married to an amazing engineer. And
you're doing great though. She's got her setup and mics.
yeah,
and
so
compressors
get a
and all
loan.
that.
You know, I just have like a Universal Audio 1176 and a Mojave 225, I think it is.
MA200.
MA200, something like that. I don't know.
Dear.
Ask him. But just dive in, learn it, say yes.
But what you're saying is kind of what I was saying too. Like, you know, she didn't have amazing commercial reel or album reel.
I made it all
with her.
up.
She just like didn't wait for those calls. Just like made up all her own tracks and sang on them like she's, you know, singing background or whatever, and then edited them all together in a real format, you know, on a CD where it's like, you know, maybe a CD that's 2 minutes long,
Yeah.
tops, but goes from track to track, and you can hear snippets and examples and get a feel for like what she sounds like as a singer in different styles. But
You know, my reel is online. It's 2 minutes and 10 seconds long or something, and starts with like a soft pop, then it goes to opera, then it's rock, then it's indie, then it's folk, you know, and I think it ends with like this classical piece. But if there's any singers in the room, I've done seminars on how to make a vocal reel. I'm happy to talk about it. It's a big passion of mine because it's an art. It's an art. You know, an artist has a portfolio, an engineer has a reel, singer has a reel, actors have reels. You need to like have that stuff at the ready so that you can send it online to someone as a link. You know, click here and listen to my vocal reel, and it's done.
Yeah. We have a question for one of our professors here.
I just want to make two comments because it was great that they're coming here to Loyola. The first is that they've been mentioning the word networking quite a bit, and I just want to let you know that we're going to we have a class approved to start having a course called networking, and we'll have this next year. And that would be something that they could have used, but they did it on their own, and that's the second comment I have. You guys are just starting to get your education here, but have you noticed 11 years outside of Loyola, they're still talking about education the whole time. They're learning new stuff on their own, and you guys are just kind of getting the basis for it here. And I thank you guys for sharing that. That's great.
Pleasure. A big round of applause for Dan and Krista Nielson. Thank you guys. We'll see you next week.